of Ask, Don't Tell, where we bring on the heavy hitters, the big players that show you in their world how asking the right questions, connecting properly with your clients beyond pitching, selling, powering through, how Ask, Don't Tell, which is really connecting. Connecting and impacting lives makes and helps them succeed not only with their clients, but then the people that they go out and impact in the world. So today we have a very special guest, Peter Risko. He is the founder and CEO of MCA Broker Bootcamp. And I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much today, Peter, for being on the show.
Hey, Oscar,
All right,
pleasure.
awesome.
Pleasure being here.
So Peter, just, because you're going to be the one doing the talking, believe me, I'm just going to be here kind of guiding you. So in Ask, Don't Tell, one of the really have four things that we're trying to make sure that the other person understands when they're working with someone. And one of those is, why do you even need help? Like, why would someone come to you? How do you help people? And so why help? Why Peter Risko? What do people come to you for?
So people come to me for a variety of reasons. I wear many hats. The MCA Broker Bootcamp is one of my programs that I'm very proud of and very passionate about. It's kind of my way of giving back for all the success that I've had in my life. Most people come to ask me for help to get them out of a tough situation. They're business owners that find themselves stuck at a crossroads. Sometimes these folks may need money to cover a payroll by Friday. Their check is in the mail. They've been waiting to get this funding from their clients, but the client keeps telling them it's coming, it's coming. And now payrolls due this Friday and they really just can't cover it. And the check's going to come eventually, but it's not going to be here and clear by Friday. So this puts them at a significant standstill because their employees who they value so much and treat as family, they've spent years training them, helping them, building a relationship with them. But if they tell any of their employees, hey guys, unfortunately, the check's not going to clear on Friday, I tell you that loyalty is very short lived. A lot of these folks are going to head for the hills. And where are those hills? Usually those people's competition. So you can imagine how devastating not clearing a payroll check on Friday can be to a business owner that's been in business for 20 years and has had his team with him for a very long time. So again, these folks will come to me and ask me for some type of funding, giving them access to the capital. So that's my role as a funder. I find these folks in need. I help them get out of a jam. I collect a king's ransom for doing so. I don't do it for free. I don't, the folks know what it is, and the money's not cheap. Now, I play a multitude of different roles throughout my industry. There's a funding role where, the funder provides the customer with the capital. But a more important role is the broker role. The broker role is basically an ISO or independent sales organization. They're like the liaison between the funder and the customer, the merchant, we call them. The liaison or the MCA broker, their job is to reach out to customers and find out what pain points are going on. What are the situations? Why do you need this money? What can you do with this money? Are you able to turn a profit? Making sure that they understand the program and that they fit the product.
Okay, awesome. Let me just stop you there for a second, because we're gonna get to that. We're gonna unpackage that. So, one of the things that I kind of heard is, why help? And I'm, I've built several businesses in my life, and if anyone that's probably been around the entrepreneur world enough knows the exact problem that you're talking as you scale any sort of business. If you know how they say, if you haven't lived the day that you've got payroll tomorrow, you haven't lived. So you haven't lived. You really have not built a business. So my question is, that's really why people come to you for help. But you provide a solution for not only for business owners, because that's what you do, but you also have a program, if I'm understanding, that helps others do the same for others. Did I get that right? So what is the solution that you directly provide to your clients? And then what is the solution that you help other businesses, in your coaching, do for others as well?
So great question. So my training course, the MCA Broker Bootcamp, is designed for up and coming entrepreneurs that are looking to find access to a business that they can start with very little money up front, has extremely low monthly overhead carrying costs, yet has unlimited earning potential. And this right here is the only thing that I've found in all of my life, which is why I scream it from the top of my lungs, because I've been very blessed to make a lot of money out of this industry. It didn't come without trial and error, banging my head through the wall. I've ran through a lot of brick walls. In my industry, the merchant cash advance industry, there's not a lot of information of people teaching this stuff. People who get it, they do it, they make a ton of money, they take care of their families, and then they enjoy their life. Myself, I came in this business and everybody kept shutting the door on me. I had to kick that door open. And a lot of times it took me, broken legs, broken hands, and a broken head. So for once I've got in here and I became successful, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna reach out and help other people just understand that this industry exists, because most people don't even believe it's real. You make $1 million commission, yeah, right, get out of here. Okay, I hear you, but that's the reality of my life. So when I show it to people, it's inspiring, because I needed to be inspired when I got in here. A lot of my friends, they tell me, hey, Pete, why are you giving this information away to people? Why do you teach everybody? What are you bringing competition to yourself? And I tell them, listen, guys, there's over 20 million businesses in America. And every one of these businesses, for the most part, almost everyone needs capital injections from some time to some time. I may get on the phone with you, Oscar, and you don't like my accent, or you don't like the way that I talk, or maybe I caught you at a bad time when you don't need anything. But a week later, somebody else calls you, or maybe it's a different phone number, or maybe you're in a better mood and you're taking that call. Oh, yeah, okay, wow, you explained this better. I'm interested. So again, I don't worry about competition. There's more than enough businesses that constantly
Okay.
need
Well,
funding for me to ever be able to call them
let's
all.
go into that. Let's go
My
into that a
thing
second,
here,
because
go ahead.
this is really interesting stuff. One of the things I'm always stressing in Ask Don't Tell is it doesn't make a sense to ask a question if you're not listening to what the other person is saying. So if you've heard of it enough Ask Don't Tell, you start actually saying things like, what I heard from you, Peter, is. So what I heard from you, Peter, is really that you in a minute or so, I'd love to know how you got into it, but you actually kind of created this industry. You didn't really create this industry, but you're in this industry that most people don't even know that it exists. You've been incredibly successful in this industry, basically helping business owners out of a jam, right? I mean, you got to pay your bills, you got to keep living, but you want to build this business. So you're serving an incredible value to the community of business owners that don't want to go to banks, don't want to do or they can't go to a bank, right?
Well,
They
they
can't
want
go
to
to
go
a
to
bank,
bank, Oscar.
and
They can't go to
they're
banks.
having to
That's the
do
word.
lines of credit, online that might be shady. So they're not able to. All right. So,
They're not able to. The banks
yeah.
don't want to
No, they
finance a
don't.
business
So
owner's dreams, unfortunately. They'll keep a 100 checking account,
absolutely.
but they'll hold your money at
All right. So
0%
this is where I
interest,
wanted to take
but
us,
they're not
and
giving you
then
their
now
money.
you say, okay, there's a lot of money to be made in this business, helping others, and let's be clear. Peter may sound like he's making a lot of money, but he's saying, yes, but I want to help you make a lot of money too. I want you I want to show you that this world exists. So let's go there. What you're doing is you're helping other business owners or other people that want to start a business for their business to be helping other business owners, which I find fascinating by other business owners to get out of those jams, right? Did I get that? Okay. So what are so if somebody comes to you and says, hey, Peter, I love what you're doing, whether it's a business owner or whether it's someone wanting to get into the business. What are some of the questions that you would ask them to dig deep, connect with the heart, really understand what they're going through to unpackage if you can help them or not, or if they are good for this business? What are some of those awesome ask, don't tell questions, Peter?
So when it comes to the aspiring entrepreneurs looking to get their feet wet in this industry, I start with a couple of basic questions. And the first one is, do you believe in yourself enough to get started? Because if you don't believe in yourself out here, nobody else is going to do that for you. And if you can't, it's free. It costs nothing for you to believe in yourself. If you can't overcome that, you need to first work on that. Don't go into any business, because if you come in with a negative vibe or a negative attitude, you're going to get what you think about. So when I'm asking these folks, I'm asking them, listen, guys, would you like to have something that changes your life? I mean, the questions I ask really, you got to be really in a bad position to tell me no. Because I'm basically telling you, look, I found a way to print money legally with no experience, very limited capital, and you can start tomorrow. A self motivated person is
Right.
going to say, okay, I want to hear you out. Might not buy everything I'm selling, but let me at least hear this out. Sounds too good to be true. And when I tell you, listen, it is true, go look at my life. I live it online, on social media, so people can see. I don't do it to brag to people. Most of my friends have more money than me, and I'm chasing behind them. But they're not online. They're not advertising. They're the guys who tell me, "Hey, Pete, why are you
Yeah, why
giving
not?
people
I
this
mean, it
information?
makes sense. Like if you've
Why
discovered the
just not keep
golden goose, why no, and I get it. I mean, I get that, right? Why are you, Peter, why are you telling everybody this secret? But the thing is, you're right. Peter's got one mouth, he's got two hands, and
There's
there's,
not enough
thousands of businesses in this country that need I'm sorry, okay, thousands that probably need right
millions.
this very second, millions of businesses in this country that need that help. So if you're one person and all of a sudden you have 1,000 people doing this or 10,000 people doing this, and someone has a way of getting that cash that they need, well, you're helping the country, you're helping the economy, you're helping our world. So I love what you're doing. Yeah,
I tell
absolutely.
people that we keep businesses growing in America, because if it wasn't for us, most of these businesses would fail, because at some point they need that capital injection. And if they don't get it, they're not covering their rent, they're not paying their payroll, they're not paying their commissions, whatever it is that they need, they're not getting the marketing done. Some of these businesses use our capital to run marketing plans. Marketing's not cheap, especially when you got a big firm or you're doing a lot of outreach or trying to test or break into a new industry. Again, this is it's just like it's like gasoline for the engine.
So how do you,
Like
because
you need
ultimately
the
you're a coaching
injections.
company. I mean, you're a coaching kind of, I'm sure it's a step by step, this is how you do it. These are the questions you need to ask. These are the benefits. I mean, ultimately you're guiding people, you're teaching people. So I guess my question would be is, one of the things that I always, and I loved your question, I would actually even challenge it a little bit. One of the things that I always talk about ask, don't tell is, work to avoid yes, no questions. So you asked a very good question. Tell me, do you feel that you have, the ability or the desire in you to start a business? I would even challenge that a little bit further and said, tell me why you have the ability and the desire to start a business, and then just see what comes out of the heart. But I love that question. So let me ask you this: what are some of the how does asking the right questions in your industry help you or the brokers that you're working with or the business owners that you're working with realize if going to you or to one of the people that you've mentored is the right option for them? Because when people come to you, they probably think, I have different options of where I can get money. And there's all these misconceptions and myths, and there's things on the internet. Be careful. What are some of those questions? Because I would love to think that you're teaching people not just, hey, this is how it's done, this is what we do, this is the ability, but in order for someone to trust them and say, yes, give me money, they have to connect in a way with rapport and asking the right questions. So what are some of those ways that you help people realize the power of questioning and not necessarily pitching through? Because without a connection, they won't trust that person, right? Just to pitch, just to power through, they might say, well, what would you say to that?
Great question. And my answer to this is pretty simple. When I talk to somebody, I tell them, first things first, my time is more valuable to me than anybody else's. So I want to make sure I'm not wasting it on anybody that doesn't deserve to have it spent on them. I don't mind investing my time in people. I don't mind spending time with people, but I don't want to waste my time. And I tell everybody else, get and stick with it, because a lot of people in my industry, as far as the funding side, when we're MCA brokers, these customers are coming in because they have a problem. They need somebody to solve their problem. What happens a lot of times, though, is these people will vacuum your time and your energy and your resources out
Okay.
of you and not even qualify or not even be willing to take that type of deal. So the first thing I teach my guys how to do, my guys and the girls, the first thing I teach my agents, my brokers how to do
Wonderful.
is how to identify if this is a good fit or not with 3 questions. The first question is, how much revenue is your business generating a month? I need to know this before I need to know anything else. And the reason is simple. If you're not generating at least $25,000 a month or $300,000 a year, you don't qualify for any programs that I offer. Therefore, I have to get off of this call and on to the next. I cannot let you spend an hour explaining to me why it's so low and how you're going to get it bigger and your plans for this, and you just need this extra help. You're not my client today. However, once you hit this threshold, we would love to have you back and see what we can do for you. But I tell them to focus the time on clients that we can actually get funded and earn money, because we all got to feed our families. And we live off of commissions. We don't live off of 9 to 5 salaries. We eat what we kill. So we have to be efficient when we're doing everything, and we have to make every move count if you want to be successful out here. I say the 80-20 rule applies in my industry. 80% of the people complain and don't make any money, while 20% of the people make all the money. Those same 20% of people do 80% of the work that's required to make the money. So again, I've seen people come in and come onto my sales floor when I had almost 100 guys on the floor. And some kids would come in the first week, they'd crack a deal and make a 20K commission. Some of them leave. They're like, okay, I got what I needed, and I never hear from them again.
Right.
For me, that's like just the beginning. Oh, wow, that was that easy? How do I get the next one? So, and then I've seen guys come in and make calls for 3 months and they can't catch a deal. It's a tricky business, but it's worth it. That's why I say you got to believe in yourself, because if you believe in yourself, you're not going to worry about the no's. You're only going to focus on once you hit that yes.
I love that. So I want to get to that, because you actually led us to the next direction. But before I go there in objections and get into yes, one of the you mentioned something that I'm always preaching. The sales and the connections and the big money are made in qualifying. It's not about making the most calls. It's about being better at discovery. And I call it discovery. In Aston's, it's discovery and investing your time on those that you can help, and realizing that the only way to do that is by doing proper discovery. So I can just almost see your top performers, those that really, shine, your 20% are probably the ones that are asking the better questions, digging deeper and finding out, do I invest my time with this individual? And it's only after they realize that maybe the pitch comes, or maybe there isn't a pitch, maybe it's just a conversation. But without proper questions, you go nowhere. And so let's take that to the next step. So your guys, your girls, they ask the questions, they connect with a potential client. That potential client sees the need. They're investing their time wisely. But at some point before the funding, that business owner is got 1,000 reasons of why they don't want to receive the funding, or maybe it's too risky or too expensive, or maybe it's not the right time. Maybe they can get the money somewhere else, or maybe there's a lack of trust if your person didn't connect and ask the correct. There could be 1,000 ways. How do you train your team? Because that's one of the things that we really stress and ask, don't tell. It's It's about getting to yes. You said it wonderfully. It's about being able to overcome those objections and isolate and move past from the no and turn a no to a yes. No is part of the process. And I am sure, Peter, that in your business, no is a huge part of the process. So how do you do it, and how do you train your team or those that you mentor to overcome those objections and go from no's to yeses?
So I tell everybody, and I've been saying this since before I was in this business when I used to sell used cars. The fifth no is a yes. If they're still telling you no, if they're still telling you no, that means you haven't done your job on selling them. Because if they meant no, they'd have been hung up. You'd have known already. They're gone. They're no longer interacting. So if they're still on the phone, they're waiting for you to ask the right questions, to provide the right information, to find the solution to whatever is nagging them. Because it is what it is. There's a problem. There's definitely a problem. Now, when it comes to qualifying the clients, I teach my brokers to take it the way I do. When I get on the phone with a customer, my goal is to get them unqualified as quickly as possible. I want to run through you so I know that you are not qualified so I can move you along and find the one that is. I don't look for every customer and say, I can make this work. That's not something that I'm interested in doing. Okay, I want to know you fit my parameters in my box or you got to go. So I'm coming into the conversation on not on the defensive, not hey sir, I really need your business. Hey, you can take advantage of me and talk however you want and waste my time. No, absolutely not. Our time is very expensive over here. We provide business owners up to $10 million and can make up to $2.5 million in commission and fees on that one deal. So if you're a customer and making $50,000 a month in gross revenue, great. But I have 10 other customers that are making 500,000 a month, 5 million a month. I treat everybody the same, but what I don't allow is I don't allow anybody, whether they make 5 million a month or 5,000 a month, to
Yeah,
waste my
I
time.
want to, I want to, I
So
want to
here's
just
what we're looking to do.
unpackage a little bit what you said, because there's it's not just about asking questions. When you're in front of a client, where you're trying to make sales, when you're trying to get to yes, asking questions is the key, is the key to getting the information. But what happens with most salespeople is they're too busy formulating their next thing that they're going to say instead of listening to what's being said. So when Peter's talking, I'm always listening to what he's saying, and I'm reading between the lines and listen to what he's saying. And he's saying that, and if you're listening to this is a key to what this rock star is saying. I like to say we have rock stars, and he's saying, I don't try to sell you something. I'm going to sell you something if I can help you. But if I can't help you through when I do my discovery and when I teach people discovery, if I can't help you, if I have no solution for you, I don't want you to waste your time with me, just like I don't want to waste it with you. And that is so different than a lot of the sales world that we live in, where it's you got to sell, you got to sell, you got to sell. No, you got to find the right person whose life you can impact, and then give them, there's the other word you said, a solution that is right for them. So I love how you're saying that, Peter. And that just tells me why you're having great success. Now, when you get to that point, and what's a great way, because you mentioned a couple things. You said when you get to the no and you get to the fifth no, you just haven't worked hard enough, right? You know that there's still something there, and you said it again, that you haven't discovered. What's a great question that you love to use, or what's a great, I don't want to say tactic, what's a great strategy, skill, tool that you use when you've got the first no, and then you got the second no, and then you got the third no? Do you keep powering through? Do you keep giving them benefits? This is why you need to do it. Or do you just ask a better question that gets them to reveal something that they're not telling you so that you can provide a better solution? Tell me a little bit more about your strategy when this happens.
So a lot of times I'll come up with, people will be very defensive when we get them on the phone. First is,
Right.
are you real? Are you legit? Or are you trying to scam me? There's a lot of scams in our industry. Unfortunately, people are making astronomical commissions. There's a lot of money floating around. It's unregulated, uncapped earning potential. You're going to get a lot of bad apples. I show everybody to try to be as good as you can with your customers because we're looking for longevity. Much easier to renew a customer than it is to go find a new one. So once you finally got your hands on a customer, these customers take this money every few months. It's not like once a lifetime or every couple of years. The funding terms are short and the money is expensive. So when I'm asking these clients these questions, a lot of times I'm coming up with their defenses are, oh, well, this money's too expensive. Okay, well, let's find out, what are you using the money for? If you're using this money to sit in the bank and think about what you're going to do with it, absolutely, it's the wrong product for you. If you have a need, right now, I need this. Okay, great. Now let's get one step further. I understand you need this 100 grand, but how valuable is this 100 grand to you? Is this 100 grand worth the 150 that it's going to cost you? If you can't answer that with a solid yes, it is, then this may not be for you. I don't need to just stuff you with a loan. I mean, stuff you with an advance. I don't need to do this. What I need to do is make sure that you're going to be able to successfully take this capital, implement it into your
Right.
business, and be able to come back for more.
Right.
I don't want you to take my money in default.
Well, what I love
You're gonna
there
ruin my
is,
relationship with my
I would think that, you know, if I was you, or if I was one of your people doing that, you know, you are, I mean, I could just see in your industry, because I mean, I've gotten calls like that. I run several businesses, some smaller, some larger than others, and you always, you know what's out there. But when faced with that, well, this money's too expensive, right? You said something really important. You're showing them, you're showing them that their alternative, or maybe there isn't an alternative, and that's really just an excuse. So, you know, some of you know, in my first book, Closing Intelligence, I show you how to do this. I certainly recommend you read it if you haven't, but I teach you how to isolate those excuses and how to show the other person how the solution you're presenting is actually the right solution, like you're doing, Peter, but what they're telling you is just an excuse. So I would love, I mean, I would love to see some of your people say, look, I understand that this money is not cheap. I get it, right? I understand it. But besides that, but besides
There's no
that,
secret.
is there any other reason why you wouldn't move forward? Like, really, what is your main reason for? And then they'll tell you, like, there isn't. It's just an excuse. All right, well, then let's get started. And most people in this world just have excuses, right? So what are some of those? Yeah. So what are some of those excuses that you've seen over the years that you just love to overcome? I mean, you know, we've got only about 2 minutes left, but I love to hear some of those excuses that people give you to this industry, or to being in your coaching program, or to learning more about this. What could you tell them today to just get those excuses out of the way, contact you, move forward, find out more? Because if you're not, guess what? It's just an excuse. And that excuse is causing you to have impact or impact others. So what would that be, Peter?
So again, a lot of excuses that come up are pretty much they're like a handful. You know, the money's too expensive, the terms are too short, I don't like daily payments, I want monthly. Why isn't this like a bank rate? And we very simply respond to those questions accordingly. Why is it not a bank rate? Ma'am, I have bank programs. I would love to give you a bank program, prime interest rate. You didn't qualify. I tried. I didn't tell you to file losses on your taxes every year. I
I
didn't tell
love
you
it.
to have late payments on your credit cards. I didn't tell you to repo your car. These are things that you did long before I met you. Now, do you want to dwell on the past, or do you want to start building a brighter future? So here's where we are. Here's where I can help. And if my program isn't going to help you, I would love you to go out and find one that will. Show it to me so I can add it to my toolkit of products to provide, because everything that I currently have, which includes bank loans, mortgages, and all types of other conventional
Right.
financing, you didn't meet the thresholds for those. It's not me
I
telling you
love that.
no,
I
I'm telling
love
you
that. I mean,
yes, I
you
still
really,
have money
the
for you.
thing is, all of us rock stars do kind of a little bit of the same. We just call it something differently, and we have different strategies for it. But what you basically said, you basically isolated the objection, which is, look, I had nothing to do with this that was a part of your life. And I'm sorry that happened, but let's put that aside and let's focus on a better life. I love how you did that. And that's why you're incredibly successful. All right. So how do we learn more? Where do we go? Is there a program? Is there a website? Is there a book? Is there a podcast? What do we need to know to learn more about Peter Risko and start taking those first steps?
I mean, if anybody wants to become an MCA broker or learn a little more about how it can change lives, you can go right to my website, mcabrokerbootcamp.com. There's a ton of information there. My Instagram, MCA Broker Bootcamp. My YouTube, MCA Broker Bootcamp. Tons of information. Every day I put out a lot of new information. I also show my lifestyle on social media, whether I'm traveling abroad, whether I'm zipping around to all of my condos, my beachfronts, my this, my that. I want everybody to be motivated to say, you know what, man, if Pete can do that, after all he's been through in life, there's nothing stopping me. I started this industry when I was 30. I didn't even know it existed before that. Most people were telling me I was crazy for dropping everything and moving to a small office on Wall Street, not knowing anything. I said, yeah, I hear you, but I already seen this. This is real, and I'm going to conquer this. It's going to happen. And again, it's 7, 8 years later, and I don't regret my mistake at all. I'm so proud of myself for doing this, because now everybody that was doubting me and saying this and saying that,
you were going to say something, Peter, but you stopped yourself. You were going to say the word blessed, and there's nothing wrong with saying the word blessed, buddy. You've been blessed, and that's very good.
Blessed. I'm very blessed. No, that's why I do. That's why I do this.
Well, you heard it here. Ask, don't tell. If you're interested in learning more, finding out more, if you think this is too good to be true, well, hey, don't let me tell you. Go to MCABroker.com, and that's correct. MCABrokerBootcamp.com. Connect with Peter Risko, and you ask the right questions. You decided this is the right for you. Let him take you through a little bit of the process, and then make that connection and see if that's right for you. Peter, thank you so much for being on the show today. I wish you the best of continued blessings, and I will see you next time on Ask, Don't Tell. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Peter, stay on the line, please.
Thank you.